This morning, Alexandra Greenwall is back home safe in her bed. This days after people desperately search for the 10-year-old from the air and on the ground. Then just as mysteriously as the young girl disappeared, she reappeared. But we are still left with more questions than answers when it comes to where she was and how she got back. Rio Rancho police say things just are not adding up at this time. Sunday, the family of Alexandra, who had been missing for almost 4 days, celebrate the girl's return. They shared hugs and a whole lot of smiles. Dressed for Dia de los Muertos, Alexandra and her brother played outside, grateful to be reunited again. Her parents would not say where the freckled-faced girl went or how she got home. Police say the investigation into what exactly happened to her could take weeks. Alexandra says she's thankful to be home.
It was like, I was really happy, but also like a little scared because there was like people everywhere.
Now, the family says police interviewed them and Alexandra for hours last night, even making the parents take lie detector tests. Police and the parents would not say why.
Well, the man who admitted to recording himself beating his girlfriend to death in southeast New Mexico should find out how long he'll spend in prison for it a little bit later today. Timothy Stover faces 25.5 years behind bars after he pled guilty to voluntary manslaughter and kidnapping earlier this year. He beat his girlfriend, Candace Boone, to death last year and forced 2 other people to record it, all in front of a child. All right, 6:03. More traffic troubles could be on the way. Changes, too, to a busy road near an APS school that's already been plagued with plenty of problems.
Yeah, those problems could come from a kindergarten through 8th grade school that APS broke ground on earlier this year, right next to Atrisco Heritage Academy. After covering the Atrisco Heritage Academy traffic troubles, News 13's Catherine Mazzone looked into what other problems could come from adding the new school right in that area. She's live at 118th near Dennis Chavez with the latest. Catherine?
Well, that's right, Crystal. Nearly a week ago, APS officials met with concerned parents to talk about the changes they would make to improve traffic congestion as well as safety concerns. But will those changes be enough to combat the possibility of even more traffic once this K through 8th behind me opens up in the fall of next year? APS broke ground on the 46-acre piece of property at the end of April this year. The district says the purpose of this new school is to ease overcrowding for students that go to Barcelona, Navajo, or Rodolfo Anaya elementary schools, or Harrison or Truman mid schools. APS says they're expecting 1,300 students to attend. So what about the traffic in an area that has already had problems to address it as a big problem? APS planners say there shouldn't be that much more traffic, especially if students utilize buses. But that's not to say the district isn't planning ahead.
When the K through 8 comes in, there are other things in place that may involve the 98th Street exit as well.
Changes is Chief Operating Officer Hendrickson talking about? Well, I'll let you know coming up in our next half hour. Back to you.
Right, thanks, Catherine. Now, another reason for making a K through 8th school, APS says combining elementary and middle schools allows the older kids to help younger students transition to the upper grades.
Well, the New Mexico Secretary of State's office is investigating a case of what could be voter fraud in Rio Arriba County. It happened in Espanola on Wednesday. We are told a man there tried to vote, but poll workers said he had already voted. So he looked at the signature on record and said it wasn't his. Poll workers let the man vote on a provisional ballot, but because of the earlier vote already being tabulated, the second vote may not count. Well, a race to watch tomorrow on Election Day will be for the Secretary of State's office. The incumbent, Diana Duran, is facing off against Bernalillo County Clerk Maggie Toulouse Oliver, and they have very different opinions on a very big issue about voter IDs.
That's mass wide-scale disenfranchisement, and to me, not one voter should be deprived of their right to vote.
Ms. Toulouse Oliver, who's been at her job for the last 8 years now, is against people being forced to show their IDs to vote. She says while voter fraud is a serious crime, it's also very rare, and ID laws would only cause a bigger headache and hurdle at the polls. Now, as for Ms. Duran, who spent time as the Otero County Clerk and as a state senator before taking office, she is strongly in favor of the voter ID laws, as she says they increase voter confidence and make for a fair election.
People want to be assured that their vote will count and count only once.
Different polls have put both candidates on top at different times. It will be close.
And our campaign coverage continues online at KRQE.com, where you can find voting locations, a voter guide, and all of our election stories. And of course, join us on election night. That is tomorrow for all of your live election coverage.
And we'll have a preview of everything you need to know tomorrow morning before you head out to the polls.